Hello everybody and welcome to Let's Build live from Oak Hill Works. How is everyone doing this evening? I hope you are well. It is good to have you here. So yes, as the title of the stream hopefully implies, depending on whether I set it back up properly or not, we made some mistakes last week and they need correcting. We in fact built the entirety of the front end of the tender wrong. So that was fun. You are kitten full. Excellent, James. Excellent indeed. And that confirms the chatbot is working, which is nice. So yeah, I've still not found the instructions. I have, however, found what the tender should look like, sort of. So this one needs amending. All of this section here is built wrong. And in fact, the front of the tender, this part should be about here. So there is a big gap in what there should be. So, as you may remember, there is a lot of white metal solder in there. It's not, and there we go, it's definitely working now. Excellent, thank you, James. So, yes, correcting mistakes. I did consider doing this as a video clip and tagging it on to Thursday's video at the end, but I thought, you know what, let's do it live, why not? How do you unsolder large bulks of white metal solder? You get yourself a pot that the model can fit in. And you get that most British of things, a kettle. And you boil the kettle, which I did just before putting the stream live. And you submerge the section you want to unsolder. And just like that, it starts to fall apart. My preview screen on my TV appears to have crashed. I'm hoping the actual stream hasn't. Could someone please confirm we're not having actual problems? So there are the two bits we want removed. And I'm just going to grab them out of there. We can see the tender dissolve still. Stream is still streaming. Excellent, as long as it's just my preview stream. Thank you guys, very much appreciated. So yeah, that is how you unsolder large bulks of white metal. Of course, then you're left with a tub of boiling water that you have no idea what to do with because you're in the middle of a live stream. I mean, if I was truly British, I'd be making tea with this, but I'm looking at what's in it and I'm thinking, no, not a chance. So we shall seat that down somewhere. I'm not going to kick it over. But yeah, so that means I now have a couple of parts. The white metal solder on here, even now, is still liquid and can just be wiped off where needed. And remember everyone, I make these mistakes so you don't have to. You can get that on a t-shirt if you so choose. So yeah, what we should have done was find the parts before starting the stream. No, that would be too organised, don't be silly. I'd recommend against making tea with solder water. Lead poison is far from ideal, indeed. So that bit goes there. This bit goes there. And this bit goes in front of that. And that's how it should look. Sort of. You make altruistic mistakes on our behalf. Exactly, James. That is what I do. All these mistakes are so you don't have to make them. I honestly have no idea what this bit is that I've just found. That's good. At least I roughly know what most of the other bits are. But it would appear there are plenty of parts that I don't know what they are. Awesome sauce. Mind you, the way some folk brew leg may be ideal. Good evening, Bob. How are you today? I hope you are feeling a bit more positive about your layout than you have been. Seeing all the pouring of support that has come in for it. Because we really do love your layout, Bob. So yes, let us at least try and carefully remove the parts again. And then get them soldered properly. So that will, of course, require much flux. The white metal solder. And, of course, because I like to pretend I know what I'm doing, the soldering block. There is a huge wet patch on the workbench still. It's a good job that it is a glass workbench and it's not actually the MDF this water's soaking into, isn't it? Okay, thanks matey, we'll get there. Thank you. Glad to hear you are okay, Bob. Yes, your layout is way too good for it to be scrapped. Especially over something like points. As I said, it's Oak Hill ran with hand operated points for about 2 years before I finally wired up the point motors it came with. And I mean, if it didn't come with the point motors already in place, it probably would have never got them. There is nothing wrong with hand operated points on a home layout. Hello, Michael McCarville. How are you this evening? Good to have you here. I hope you are well. Scrapping layouts, what's all this about? Some posts on RM Web, James. And Bob getting rather frustrated with some issues on his layout, which I'm sure we can all sympathise with. I know I've had plenty of issues on layouts in the past. So tonight's replacement for... Oh no, I found the actual replacement. There it is. So we're going to put some more solder in this gap here, as this is now loose where we've melted the solder off. And now we've knocked the wheel set out. That was clever. Something about these mistakes so you don't have to. That is of course our floating wheel set. For those that weren't here last week, it has oval holes in the frames here instead of rounded ones. So these two wheel sets are solid, this one is floating to ensure contact with the track. So yes, a bit of flux in there. I'm just going to grab a bit of solder and quickly stick that in there too. And that'll hold our tank top in place again. Oh, I've not taken the lid off my cleaner. So now we can begin the job of working forwards with the parts as they're meant to be. Interestingly, I noticed this on Sunday night after finishing the live stream. When I was speaking to someone at club about it on Monday, who is an SECR modeler and has built this kit before, they'd watched the stream and couldn't even tell what I'd done wrong. So we're just going to get some flux on one side of there to start with. And a little bit of solder to hopefully, no, not quite enough solder to tack it in place. I can hear the heavy rain coming again, beating against the window. Hopefully you guys either can't hear it at all, or it's at least not too off-putting, because the window is directly behind this wall here at the back of the workbench. So with that tacked in place, we can get some flux on the other side. Oh dear, didn't mean to drop that solder. And there we go, that is that bit held in tightly. Can't really hear the rain. Excellent, glad to hear it. Hopefully my internet will stay reasonably stable. Streamlabs tells me we haven't dropped any frames yet, which is good. But my internet has been known to go funny in bad weather. So please do try and stick with it. If it goes, I certainly will. Oh, and there is the chatbot reminding everyone to smash that like button, or just give it a gentle tap if you so prefer. And whilst you're there, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to stay up to date on when I upload videos and go live. It is very much appreciated. Flood defences have been up in my local town, Bewdley, this weekend. 7, not very friendly. Yeah, we've got quite a few floods around here, Bob. It is not fun whatsoever. Don't you mean glad to not hear it? Yes, maybe. I can't remember what I said, Luke. But good evening, welcome. I hope you are well this evening. 'Tis, as always, great to have you here. So just putting some solder across the back now to fill the gap. The gap that really won't be too obvious once we chuck coal all over it, as this is the coal space. The Chatham were, very generous with the amount of coal space in their tenders, as you can tell. They were almost completely water tanks. But yeah, so yes, it's been good fun with all the rain and the floods recently. Thankfully, I don't have to deal with them because I don't have transport right now, because my van decided it no longer wanted to van anymore. I was driving along on Friday night, having been out with a young lady, and my van, as we went round a roundabout, said, "So you don't actually want your engine to be connected to the wheels, do you?" I said, "To be honest, van, I kind of do." And it said, "Oh well, too late." So that was good fun. We then proceeded to spend 2.5, maybe 3 hours sat on a dual carriageway waiting for the AA to show up. Don't suppose that bit fits there, does it? No. Flood on Perry's Lane just down the road from me said they fixed it last time it flooded. Get wankers built for the quarry. Rip clutch. Indeed, Luke, rip clutch. Floods are bad. It does, however, fit there, and I do think that's where it's meant to go. And then when this drops down, it sits just inside it, like that, which fills the gap that was there, and will also help fill the gap between the loco and tender. I can English. I know train terms. And that sits in behind, just like that. Perfect. Oh, that's really coming down hard out there. So I'm going to cover that with flux. Sit it in place, make sure we've got it in line. In fact, we'll leave that there whilst we do this so it can't fall out of line. And I'm just going to apply some flux, some solder along the edges, which the flux should aid in flowing underneath. And so there we have our floor panel, nice and connected and soldered down. Wah-hey! 2 thumbs. So we apply flux around the edges, and then because we want to keep the solder as hidden as possible, we pick it up and apply it from behind. Gosh, it's raining hard at your end. Tend to look good. It is raining really hard. Brilliant work. Thank you, Bob. Glad you think the tender looks good, Becca. I appreciate these comments. Yeah, see, last weekend we were quite lucky with Storm Kira. It kind of glided over us. This weekend we've really taken quite a beating from, is it Dennis? That begins with a D. But these are the advantages to living up a hill. So as we approach 25 past 9, I would like to remind everyone, hydration is important. Even if it is raining so hard outside that you wonder if it isn't coming in and hydrating you itself. Dennis the Menace, indeed, James. Indeed. So we're going to apply, in fact it's probably easier to apply the flux to this bit. And we can just dip it in the flux to do that. It's slightly too long. This is why we trial fit before fluxing. It's very slightly too long, so we're just going to take a small section off. I wouldn't normally like to do this to a kit, but I don't see us having much of a choice here. Flux too early, what you need is a flux capacitor. And now I'm just going to get the flat file to tidy that cut up a bit. fits better, but not quite properly. Oh, I've knocked a tyre off a wheel. That's not good. I've knocked them off both. That's really not good. These are scale link wheels. They should be fine. Can just apply a bit of glue. Now remember, cut away from yourself, not towards. Do as I say, not as I do. So how is everyone doing this evening? Do we have any projects on the go? Please do let me know. There we go, now it fits. Yeah, that's better. Much better. There we go, and so we've got lots of little blobs of white metal solder laying around on here. I'm going to try and detach them all from the glass so I can move them around, and rather than taking yet more off, we shall chop a piece off these. Drop that in place and let the iron do its thing. There we go. Been varnishing class 50s this evening. Oh, big boxy things. Now removing the masking tape and photographing them. Fair enough, James. Lots of big boxy things. Trying to do something but really not in a good state of mind. Well, yeah, that's a feeling I know only too well, Becca. I hope you are feeling better in the near future. If you ever need to chat, you know how to contact me. Well, you could even use my Twitter that the chatbot has nicely popped up a link to. Just cleaned the bench, starting quick storage build next. Oh, excellent. Very good indeed. Jappa Goosh, looking good so far. Excellent. Thank you very much, Jappa. And how are you this evening? Good to have you here. I hope you are well. Oh, and that bit fell off the bench, which is not the result we were aiming for. I wasn't expecting that to go through quite so easily, if I'm being completely honest. There we go, and that's two more little bits of solder there. That we can pick up and drop in place. Again, that saves us having to take more solder off of our big block. And there we have the tender front built up how it should be, rather than the terrible job I did of it last week. So let us get this centre wheel set back in. I will get some glue on these tyres as well. The back ones are fine. These ones, this one's feeling a bit loose. Not too bad. Fiddling a 3D printer and thing won't work right. Oh, fun. Fun, fun, fun. My 3D printer doesn't work at all, so you're doing better than me. I've never been able to print from my 3D printer. Never known scale link wheels to do this before. I'm assuming it's the hot water from earlier that they were dunked in to remove the solder. I probably should have taken the wheels off, but that means bending the frames, and I really didn't want to do that. So I've just got a little bit of glue all the way around there. If I push the tyre back into place, that should hold that quite nicely. And there we go. Sorted. Oh, and there is some bits of wire in a bag trying to attack. Now, which one was it on here that was loose? It's this one that's loose. Oh, that's not. It's not loose enough to come off, but the whole wheel did just shift on the axle. 9mm MDF suitable for exhibition layout baseboard tops. As long as you brace it properly, Luke. Proper bracing is the way to deal with stuff like that. Right. That is the wheels hopefully all sorted now. As I said, the centre wheel set is floating. And there we go, pulled back out. I may make the centre wheel set solid at some point to prevent that if it keeps happening. How would I brace it properly? By building a good frame underneath it, Luke. The point is to make a frame that won't let the baseboard warp. That is what you need to do. So there we go. There is the loco together with its tender, now that the tender has been built properly. There is still a couple of bits missing off the loco body, such as the front steps we need to get on and various other small parts. Hello A1, welcome. How are you this evening? I hope you are good. Please, producer driven dustbin, can't be very careful to use face markings to cut outdoors. Yes, Bob, very good point. MDF dust is carcinogenic. You do not want to breathe it in. Make sure you cut MDF outdoors. And dress yourself up as Darth Vader whilst you're doing it. Safety gear is indeed very important. I'm okay, A1. Glad you are doing well. So yes, just behind the sandboxes here should be steps, which, let's see if we can get it into focus. You can see are nice and equal. There's slightly more curvature on one side, which is basically the curvature of the wheel. They obviously don't, they're not close enough to the wheel to need it, but that's how the Chatham did it. Best bracing material, rough sawn timber. Well, whatever you're going to use, Luke. You can see the loco has points underneath it here where the top of the step casting slots in very nicely. Yeah, whatever timber you're going to use, Luke, honestly, as long as it is cut well and strong and held together properly. Glues and screws. Now we wait for Luke to ask which glue he should be using. Who knows, with lag, he might have already asked by the time I've said that. Let's find out. I've dropped my bits of solder. There they are. They fell off when it was over there. Well, Woodley was what I was thinking. Well, I mean, honestly, Luke, I'm just glad you were thinking for once. I use PVA personally. Buy it by the gallon from your local DIY store. Good evening, 00 Paderborn. How are you today? I hope you are well. Welcome to Oak Hill Works. It's almost like I know where these parts are. Trust me, I don't. Look, there's another blob of solder in there. I'm going to take these buffers out and chuck them in my spares pot because I do not want the buffers. The model, of course, having sprung buffers. Very well, excellent. Glad to hear it. You join us as we are just adding the steps to the bottom of the loco body, having done some deconstruction and reconstruction on the tender to correct some mistakes I made whilst half asleep last week. I will not deny I was in no state to be streaming last week, but well, I enjoy it. I enjoy being here with you all, and I wanted to stream. Oh dear, that's not good. I think I didn't quite cut off enough solder there. There we go, we've got it tacked on. Let's get a little bit more cut off. We are, of course, just chopping bits of solder off the drips with the knife to save wasting them. Remember, with white metal, you do not want to have the soldering iron in there too long, as it is prone to melt, being basically made of solder. Right, give me a second. I'm just going to reset my preview screen, as it is still showing a deconstructed tender. I could put you to the be right back screen, but I don't think it's going to be out for long enough for me to need to do that. There we go, my preview screen is back. Being distracted last week, maybe on your own you can concentrate better. It was a bit more than just being distracted. I must admit that it's significantly more than being distracted. Christopher is a great guest and I do enjoy having him. So yes, we are down to small details now, which means I need to find all the parts. I believe we want these little parts off here and these little parts off here, first and foremost, to go on the sides of the smoke box. These streamings are invaluable for everyone, gives an insight into how to proceed with kit building techniques that many of us would love to master. Great work, my friend. Thank you, Bob. That is exactly the reason I started doing this, was to show that it's yes, it's scary, but it doesn't need to be as scary as some people think it is. And it would be great to see more people out there just giving it a go. And if I can encourage people to do that, then that's absolutely fantastic. That's completely what I want to do. So yes, I have a hole in the smoke box here, and I have a hole down here. They are both on the other side. The holes at the bottom are not very pronounced. And each one of these has two sections. They're actually the right way round for how they go on the side of the smoke box. So these are very tiny parts. One here that goes up the top and one here that goes down the bottom, both that way up. So that really does help, having them that way round. Yeah, I'm never going to be able to drill those holes with that. So I'm just going to use the file to make them a little bit more pronounced. And that will make it easier to get them in. So if I just move the camera back a bit there, you can see all we need to do is simply slice off the small piece with a knife. Try fit it in place in the side of the loco. Where that does look where I want it to be. So we shall dip it in the flux. You'll notice the shadows have slightly changed. I've had to put a new light in the living room, and it's actually brighter than the old one, which has affected my lighting setup for the stream somewhat, rather annoyingly. So that is now being held in there by the flux. We can chop a tiny bit of solder off here, which, as you can see, really is a tiny bit. Drop that into place on the side of the model. And gripping the part with our tweezers again. Attempt to solder it in place. Of course, soldering something this small is quite fiddly, and so getting it to stick properly and at the right angle is awkward. And of course the flux that was holding it in place just sort of melts away. There we go. Yeah, we're definitely on there. So then we can repeat for the top part. I'd love to tell you what these parts are called, but in all honesty, I don't know. I do not know the inner workings of a steam locomotive. They are things that stick out the smoke box. Yep, that looks fine to me. The things what do the things. Black magic they are. Indeed, both of you. I'm pretty sure you're both correct. And hello, Javier. How are you this evening? I hope you are well. So this time the flux isn't quite holding it in place. But that's fine, that's not a problem. It's roughly where we want it to be. There we go, got it in place. I'd forgot it was Sunday stream, honestly thought it was Saturday. Don't worry, Javier, there's definitely been days of this week I wish I could erase and it still be Saturday. There's a big bit of glue sticking up here that I need to get rid of because it's getting in my way. Evidently, talking of days I wish I could erase and it still be Saturday, anyone got a cheap clutch for a 2006 Ford Transit? And now that you're here, Javier, look at it on its little wheels, isn't it beautiful? Isn't it absolutely fantastic? This is Craven Saddle Tank number 27, a 3D print designed for me by Javier, available from his Shapeways shop, which you can find a link to by putting !Javier in the chat. And just look at how tiny it is. It's an absolutely fantastic little beast. I love it. I'm so happy with it. Just need to get the motor and gearbox for it. I already have all the paints and everything else. I've got a cheap clutch for a 1954 Austin A40 while we're at it. Hello, Killian. How are you this evening? It is a beautiful little Craven, isn't it? Unfortunately, I am lacking in cheap clutches at the moment, even for a 1954 Austin A40. That top one looks like it's sticking out too far to me. I'm going to take it off and cut its stem back a bit more. It's a charming little 042. It is indeed. quite good. Excellent. Glad to hear you are doing good. Does the 54 Austin have an A-series engine? Can't remember, because I have some A-series engine plugs lying around, I'm sure. There, that looks better to me. I don't know what it is, but it looks better. And so now we've got to repeat that process for the other side. This is the part where Corbs would be asking if they should cut this part out of the live stream or speed it up. My vote is for speed it up with Benny Hill music. But unfortunately, I can't do that live. Sorry, guys. Actually, there's a Morris Gold Seal engine, new plugs and all. Oh, very nice. Very nice indeed. So yes, again, we want to detach our part. We want to get our tweezers somewhere we can actually trial fit it and trial fit it. Once we know it fits, we want to apply some flux. We want a tiny bit of solder. And then to hold our part with the tweezers whilst we solder it. We then want to repeat the process with the bit that sticks out the top. I believe the scientific name is the top sticky out bit. That looks like a great fit to me. Oh, a link to the website, courtesy of the chatbot. A website which I actually did some updating to earlier, because no one had told me that when my menus drop down, they go behind the Google Ads. So I moved to Google Ads. It's actually very rare I go on the site and there are Google Ads visible. May I ask whether anyone has any views on varnish? My varnished Class 50s Engage have not turned out as well as I'd hoped. Specifically, the shine from the Brasso number removal is showing through the varnish. Any ideas? Are the sticky out bits sniffing valves by any chance? Never used Brasso to remove numbers, so can't comment. They might be sniffing valves, James. But I don't know, because I mean, I use my nose for sniffing, and like, yes, it's a sticky out bit, but it's on the front of my face, not the side. Varnish. I use Halford's varnish and I've never had a problem like that. That thingy would be a thingy with a bar going to the cab kind of thingy. I don't think it does. No, it does not, looking at this picture. These two bits just stick out. Obviously these bits need pipe work going down under the boiler. I don't know where it goes from there, but I do not see any pipe work attached to these sticky out bits on the smoke box. Oh, and there's another bit I was looking for. And that is the smoke box dart. Because of course every loco needs a face. There we go. Smoke box dart. Sweet model, thank you. I'm guessing, well, TWR modeler, thank you. I appreciate it. Injector of some description. No idea. I don't know the parts of a steam engine. Hate not knowing words to thingies. Indeed. But as I say, I'd stand a better chance if I actually knew what thingies a steam locomotive needed. Faces on locos are overrated. Ah, but by face I meant clock on the front. Nice D. Thank you. It is indeed a South Eastern and Chatham D class. The build is now, we're an hour in tonight. So the build is 6.5 hours old. No. Well, 5. Yeah, the build is 6.5 hours old and it already looks like this. I think that's pretty good going, personally. Says more about the kit than the person making it. Now, see, I do know how smoke box doors work, so I know that the back one of these handles needs to be pointing downwards. I also know that your peg needs to be round to go in the round hole. It does indeed still need handrails. Clocks on locos are overrated. Nope, this is a clock face and it is great. Get an RTR one from Dapol. I am considering an RTR one from Dapol as well. It will depend on a few things when at the time. Or closer to the time, I should say. Because I have some other rather large expenses coming up, unfortunately. Excellent. What did everyone do today? Slept. Proof of Dapper, went to the Bluebell Railway, proof hand railway, also proof of Bluebell Railway. I especially love the old carriages. I saw you went to the Bluebell Railway, you put a video up of it. And very helpfully titled the video with the date so we knew when you were there. I have spent most of the day cooking. Well, I say most of the day, about an hour. I also went for a walk to Tesco in the rain because the van's dead. I really cannot get this straight, and I can't see it properly to do it. And now the hole is filled with solder. So the peg's quite useless and just making it stick out further than it should. Yay! It's on properly and centrally. God, chat's running faster than I can see it. Definitely the old carriages. The older carriages on the Blue Belt are great, and locomotives, indeed. Have a look at Discord. Yes, everyone should have a look at Discord. Discord is great. I see that there are messages on there. I'm not looking right now because I'm streaming. But everyone who's not on my Discord should definitely join my Discord. It's fantastic. A great community there. Speaking of Blue Railway, I'm going there for my birthday. Awesome. Very nice indeed. It's Dapple. You'll have plenty of time to save up. Yeah, but I'm taking the kids away on a nice, hot foreign holiday later in the year, and it's rather expensive. Kittens, hydration. Hydration is very important. I've barely had any in the time we've been streaming. Bad Gary, make sure you hydrate, everyone. Improve cooking. I did much be said for food. I eat it every day. Indeed, as I do. I never eat anything else. I try not to eat anything else. It moved there all on its own. Food and hydration is a happy combination for staying alive. That is very true. The only reason I called it the date is because I've run out of ideas for what to call my videos. It makes sense calling like trips to railways by their date. It's a good way of remembering when you went and what you saw when you went. Being alive helps when enjoying model railways, I find. I have also found that, James. Never seen a dead person at a model railway exhibition. I've seen a few that look it. Model railways for me, like car collectors. Explain. Could have called it Clive, that's true. Just end up calling it Date, or how's it? Like those filthy, stinking rich playboys from fiction. Proving things being properly and centrally, indeed. I don't read fiction very often. Discord link, Harmony, greater than Discord. This chat is faster than a leopard on meth. I will join your Discord. Later in which year? Ah. Wow, that chat really was moving fast. I think I'm caught up now. So, yes, it's great having you all here, people. I love having a nice, busy chat. You are all fantastic. And we are coming very close to running out of parts for this locomotive. I'm just looking round for all the guard irons, because we'll obviously need 4 of them on next. And then we got pipe work and brakes, and we're almost there. That's quite scary. And we've got some bits that I don't know where they go, which is honestly quite expected from me. If you're expecting me to know what I'm doing, then you haven't been watching very long, have you? And if you do expect me to know what I'm doing, and please do make sure you drop down below, down there. There's a like button. It loves being smashed. Its whole purpose is to be absolutely wrecked by so many people hitting it. And somewhere down next to that is a subscribe button. We have recently passed 200 subscribers, and it's an absolutely fantastic feeling to see so many people enjoying what I am doing. You really do help support the channel by hitting that, and then hitting the notification bell to make sure you get alerted whenever I go live or upload a video. So, yes. There's my YouTuber sellout bits done. Any more pre-grouping logos and stock in the works? Loads of it. Pre-grouping is my thing. There is a video coming in the near future. I filmed it over this weekend. That will explain an entirely new project for a new railway. All pre-grouping. I've got the stuff sitting next to me, but I do not want to spoil it. Other than to say there are... See if I can do this without putting too much of the logo on screen. There are some very funny coloured boxes involved in this project. What do I do for 200 subs? By that mean, I'm doing 200 Subway subs. Oh, I wish I could have 200 Subway subs. Honestly, 200 subs snuck up on me a bit, and I didn't have anything ready for it. So if anyone's got any ideas of what they would like to see as a 200 subscriber special, I am open to ideas, because, you know, we have hit it now. Or when I last checked, we were at 203, which is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, if there's anything you'd like to see as a 200 subscriber special, now's the time to mention it. So yes, we have guard irons. To pop one there, one on this side. They're obviously slightly bent out, as you would expect. I meant subscribers. I knew what you meant. Narrow gauge. I mean, I could get my narrow gauge stuff out and do a look at that. I need to get the baseboard built for that layout, really. 00 gauge kitten. Can always wait for 250. I mean, that's true. Didn't even notice. Congrats on 200. Thanks very much. Can always wait for 250. That's true. Layout tour. There are tours of all my layouts on the channel already. If you scroll back through, there are the 4 layouts: Oak Hill, Bright Helmstone, South Park Quarry, and Hailsham. Hailsham, in fact, now has 2 videos. So yes, they do already exist on the channel. Love to see the narrow gauge. I can do something about the narrow gauge. I can do a background on the project and what it's going to be. That's... yeah, I'm sure I can come up with that, and I can probably upload that on a special outside of my normal uploading schedule as a 200 subscriber thing for you. That's not a problem if people want to see that. The narrow gauge itself, of course, also being pre-grouping. Tell you what, I do get exhausted from talking sometimes. on these live streams. It's a bit weird that. Doesn't get me any other time. I sort of get quite a shortness of breath. And I love it. I think it's because I talk a bit faster when I'm live streaming than I do in real life. So we're going to take the front set of wheels off. And that's going to let us drop these into their guide holes and be able to get in there with the soldering iron without any risk of melting the wheels, because of course they are plastic. Well, plastic centres, metal tyres. Proof of narrow gauge, live streaming isn't real life. It's a bit surreal actually, James, live streaming. Sitting here talking to you all, and yet at the same time sort of having a conversation with myself, because of course there is no one else speaking. You are all words on a screen. As I used to say to people when I was watching live streams on the internet, no one knows you're a chatbot. Let's hope your locos work on these RTR chassis. This is not an RTR chassis under here. This is the chassis from the kit. Imagine doing this by post. Brilliant. Brilliant, Bob. But yeah, so it's a very surreal experience. As I sit here, the camera, you know, I'm over the top of the camera as I'm doing this, so I can't even really see that there's a camera there. Yeah, that one's not gone in properly. Popped out whilst I was soldering. There we go, that's better. That's much better. Yes, that's in the right place now. Excellent. So we now have guard irons on the front of the loco. Does it even work? It will do once I put the motor in it. The motor is sitting in the box at the moment. But yes, it will be a runner once it's done. All my locos are. That goes through that hole. The other one is, of course, for the motor. Where have I put that screwdriver? Don't tell me I actually put it away. Isn't that weird? But yeah, we're only about 7 hours into the build, so it doesn't run yet, but it will. Once I put a motor in it and put some pickups on. all my other locos run, sort of. So yes, now we need some guard irons on the back, which we have on sprues here. They are a slightly different shape, which is how I knew which is which. So we shall cut the sprues off. They can go down in the bin box. And then these sit behind the wheels here and nicely wrap around everything. So if we get our little flux applicator, it's not quite as good as a flux capacitor, but it's still a useful tool. That's roughly where we want it. It's at a slight angle, so I will need to move that or straighten that. But first I'm going to take a drop of solder and cut a piece off. Whenever I do model railways, I listen to old time music, cool songs. Very nice. Very nice indeed. We did have some nice soft jazz playing earlier before the stream started for my pre-stream chat. I need to sleep. Have a good rest of the stream. Okay, good night, Becca. Thank you for coming. Has been great, and I shall see you on Discord. Oh dear, we dropped it. Don't drop it. Dropping it is not healthy. There we go. That's sitting in roughly the right place now. Ever heard sheet music singer on YouTube? I haven't. I'm subscribed to him. I do not listen to music on YouTube. This bit of solder does not want to be picked up. That's fine, we tell it. We have ways of picking you up. And there we go. That is the guard irons on the tender. We really are getting quite close to a completed loco here. This is still quite scary when you consider how early in the build we are. Don't listen to music on YouTube, not even It's Hungarian Rhapsody #2. I do not, James. I have a very nice CD collection. And in fact, I have a very nice digital library of music as well, of varying genres. The only music I have from YouTube is music used for the channel, which all comes out of YouTube's rather excellent music library. For details, credits for all the music I use are in the description. And I would like to remind everyone at 10:30 UK time, the halfway point of the stream, hydration is important. So make sure you are hydrating. Now I'm just looking here because what the box includes is all the breaks. Why not? Is it because of fear of copyright strike? No. I'm not going to get copyright strike for listening to it. The problem here is, if I solder these to these, then they're going to be sitting quite a distance away from the wheels. And I'm not sure how to cure that right now. I also have the ones for the loco. Which honestly seem to have the same problem. There is nowhere. These ones actually could go direct on the chassis. They sit between the wheels, I believe, on both drivers. I'm going to turn into. Thank you. We'll catch up with you next time. All the best. Keep safe. Regards, Bob. Okay. Good night, Bob. Has been great having you here. And I hope you start feeling better about the layout soon. So until next time, good night. Sleep well. Still going like a Duracell battery. Right. Let's pop these off. There we go. This is, of course, the awkward one because it has the link for the tender wrapped around it. It also wants me to get my decent pliers because I unscrewed it a bit too much. This bolt does in fact want to stay on here. Kids, don't. Well, we don't need comments like that. Right. Front, back. Let's try and remember that. As we get the brakes hanging on there. And they sit quite nicely around those wheels on this one. These are all identical, so I've got no qualms with just cutting them all off. There goes the sprue. Get on towards midnight here and I have to get up at 6, so I'll say good night too. Good night then. Double O Paderborn, has been great having you here. Thank you for coming by. I shall hopefully see you in the next one. Yes, like your PSA that I deleted. So we're just going to file down the bits of sprue that are left over on these and make sure that these bits that are supposed to be round are round again. Can I check that one? Yeah, that's still got a bit more really. I thought I saw a bit more. That's the sort of PSA we need. Remember kids, hydration is important. Don't worry about it. Just think before posting. Yes, I understand. You don't need to explain. Just I do actually get children watching this, and I don't want to be chucking ideas at them. So there we have our brake shoes for the Loco. Which hang down from the side just like that. So nice work so far, thank you, appreciated. Sounds greater than laughs, rabbits are good. Why, even details can be painted. They can indeed. They certainly can. I should have cut a bit of solder before doing that. There we go, we did it. We did it. Where's my bit of card gone? There it is. The brake shoe is on. Just going to double check that this is where this brake shoe goes. Right, I'm just going to put some music on for you whilst I double check this. And we're back, and I'm glad I did check it. I was about to put it in the wrong place. It needs to go over here. They both go in front of the wheels. And this is why we double check. Drive home, switched on, what's happening? It's right. Good evening, Ian. I was just double checking the position of the front brake shoe as to whether it was in front or behind the wheel, as I wasn't sure. So I thought I'd let you all have a little bit of music. How are you this evening? Yeah, I didn't think that had stuck. Let's give that a bit of a polish. Historical research, not a number one then. Indeed, no. Historical research, well, accurate research. I was looking at pictures of the one in the NRM. No, again, not sticking properly. I think I got it slightly too high there, and it wasn't quite, and it was more slightly attached to the top rather than the side, and only a very small amount of it attached as a result. Oh, and there it goes. That is not what we want happening. If only these musical intervals happened in real life. I hope you enjoyed my musical interval. And there we go. So we have brakes on this side. And the wheels still turn as they're not quite touching it. So all is good. We now need to do the same to this side. I could tell there was something on there looking at it, and it is absolutely filthy. So I'm glad I decided to give that a polish. It's probably residue from when it was taped up for however many years it's been taped up for. It's got to be quite a few, being an original Wheels kit rather than the later Southeastern fine cast. Right, that is looking good there. Nice and polished where it needs to be polished. And the best of us all checked in the wrong places before. I'm not checking in the wrong place. The NRM's just the one I can get photos of that are good quality and let me see things. I've forgotten to cut a bit of solder off again, haven't I? There we go, and there is that one on, which looks slightly lower than it should be. But that's okay, the joys of solder, we can just heat it back up and move it. Oh dear. Not so good if you snap the part. There we go. Bit more solder sorted that. And it still rolls just fine because we are still not touching the wheel. So just one to go then, and then we've got all the brakes on the loco. A little bit of flash on this one that I'm going to take off. Lots of flux there. It's fine, you can't have too much flux. That's another one of those sayings that should definitely be on a t-shirt. For those that don't know, exclamation mark merch will give you a link to my Teespring store, where you can buy t-shirts with things like "you can't have too much flux" written on them. And everything costs the Teespring default prices, because I never changed them. And there we go, 4 breaks on the loco. We really are running out of things to put on this now. I've got some pipe work to find. I'm hoping it's loose in the box, because it's certainly not in that pile there. It does not appear to be loose in the box. That's not good. I know we've had that pipe work because I trial fitted it on the first stream with it. I've got the one for the back of the tender here. But not the one for the front of the loco. So that goes round there. And back through that hole. Oh dear, I appear to be knocking these everywhere, and I've put this one on slightly too far away from the wheel. There we go. So let's pop that back out. We'll put it back through its hole so it doesn't go missing. We're going to unscrew that slightly to make it a bit easier to put back together next time. Oh dear. Never mind, eh? This is one of those times where I need about 6 hands, ideally. There we go. Oh, and we're wrapped around the camera, that's not good. There we go. It is on. So let's try this again. Oh, that's one of the bits we soldered on earlier. have to redo that. I'm putting that on upside down. Don't be putting that on upside down. How about what the flux? Nope. My t-shirts are all things I regularly say. And as that is not a thing I regularly say, that will not be going on a t-shirt. At least not one of mine. So we'll do that screw back up. We'll do that screw back up. And there we now have brake gear on the loco, which is making a huge difference to the look when you finish a loco and it actually has brake gear. It's bugging me that that pipe's gone missing though. It comes up, it sticks out of this hole on the front here and goes round. So it was definitely there. We trial fitted it on the first live stream with this. So quite what's happened to it now, I don't know. I'm going to have another quick look in this box. But it is definitely not there. And it is not in any of these bags that have come out of that box. And it is not over on the side of the workbench. That is rather irritating. Because we are actually at a point where we are very nearly done with the loco build. I wonder if I've got a spare pipe in here I can use. Let's have a look-see. Oh, one of those might be ideal. I need cutting down, but it could well be ideal. Let's have a... There is nothing in any of the other ones that would suit, so let's try that, shall we? Oh, I forget I've got a fourth one of these now. No, nothing in there either. Very useful pots those. They come with the K's locomotive kits. Yes, that could fill in. There we go. Chop a little bit more off. And it looks exactly like the one we're missing. Perfect. So that gives us our pipe detail at the front of the loco. And so with a little bit more solder. there is another job jobbed. Now we need to lay this on its side because we've broken this bit off, which was very silly of us. Let's try not to do it again. Don't really want to have to add more solder to this. There's already quite a lot there. There we go. Sticking out a bit further than I'd like, but it's on. And so the next thing we want to do is the pipework on the rear. Which on the rear it hooks around the buffer beam like that. And as we now know, it hooks quite nicely. What about the livery? It will be getting South Eastern and Chatham Wainwright livery. The livery it was designed for. And then it will match in very nicely with the rest of my South Eastern and Chatham logos. Of which there are a few. Well, there's a few P classes, never mind the rest of them. I appear to have... Oh no, there it is. SCR green, SCR red, Southern green, BR black, Southern black, sky's the limit. No, SECR green, the only one that's right. Good evening, Will. How are you today? I hope you are doing well. I've lost that bit of solder I just cut whilst I was reading chat. That was silly of me. So yes, it is 11 o'clock at night here in the UK. How is everyone doing? I do hope we are all good. And there we go. We have the pipe on the rear of the tender now as well. So we really are running out of things to do to this loco. I do think the next job has to be the handrails. But of course the handrails themselves won't actually get added until after painting. I'm going to have to get some transfers sorted for this as well, aren't I? Yes, I'm just looking at the parts I've got here, and I really don't think there is anything else to add. Except for two bits that I have no idea what they are. So are they even bits to add? They are two... Let me check the card. Two little rectangle boxes with a bit sticking out the top. Cutaways in the back of them. The next thing to add is paint and the motor. It is sort of along those lines, yes. But yeah, I have no idea what these bits are or where they go. I can't see them on anything, and I can't see an obvious place to fit them unless they go on the tender, which is a possibility. At least on one side it is. There's a brake standard in the way on the other side. I have a Chatham tender. Let's have a look at that. Nope, definitely not. That answers that question. The motor needs me to dig out a smaller gear for it, which is not happening right this very second. There's a lot of things for me to go through to get to my gears. In fact, there's a lot for me to... There's that middle wheel set again. They are going to have to be put in there a bit more solidly than they are, aren't they? And one of the bearings has fallen inside the tender. There it is, I see it now. But I am actually going to fill that gap, because in double O it's not really going to make a difference to me. If I was modelling EM or P4, then yes. But in double O we can get away with being a bit sloppy. In fact, the standards almost insist on it. So that's that one. Not going anywhere. This axle box isn't in properly. That's why it's not working. It's deaf to double O. No. Double O sloppiness means I get away with more. But yeah, the problem will have been that that axle box wasn't in properly. Double O has its ups and downs. It does indeed. Looks a bit daft compared to finance now, but that's much tighter cars, 50 yards and allowed to fit into a shed to which would not otherwise fit. Indeed, and it also allows a little bit of sloppiness, which means my modelling works. And I don't know about you, James, but I approve of things working. Those wheels are too far over. The rest are just fine. See, it's fine. I approve of things working. Yeah, way. There we go. So yes, I am now looking around at things we can do this evening with demand slop, which means the 3-foot rule is necessary. The 3-foot rule is generous compared to my rule, Killian. So you preempted my comment. I did. 3-foot rule. Yeah, the 3-foot rule is if it looks right from 3 foot away, it is right. My rule is if a blind man on a galloping horse from 20 foot away can't tell it's wrong, then it's right. That's the level of accuracy that I strive for. But yes, I'm sitting here with this build looking like this, struggling at how I'm going to fill the next hour, if I'm being honest. Well, the next 50 minutes. Scale 3 foot away or an actual 3 foot away, sort of average viewing distance, supposedly. I don't know how accurate that is, as your level of accuracy is invisible. Yeah. Couple of bits of pipe work to add, such as coming out the bottom of the clack valves, I think is the term. Can't you feel them out fit in the locomotive? But you'd manage with a 1 foot rule. No, I wouldn't, Killian. I could if I had the right gear for it. The gear I've got in the box is too big. I need the smaller gear, and I need to go digging for my box of gears to get to that. So we've got some pipe work to add, so we're going to do that next. That's the bottom of the, I think they're clack valves. I think that's the right name. I know clack valves is a name. That's sort of good enough for me. What livery are you going to do? Swap it. He's going to be in South Eastern and Chatham Green, full Wainwright livery. The only correct livery for such a beautiful loco. Oh, I've taken that screw all the way off again. I keep saying I'm not going to do that, and then do it every time. This is obviously how to securely place locomotives down. You'd think that would be an unbelievable crash, but I've seen worse. There we go, there's that screw secured so it's not going anywhere. If you did SECR, great, you could save time. Yeah, but I want it to fit in with the rest of my SECR fleet. I mean, there's plenty of them. There doesn't appear to be plenty of them up on the layout at the minute. But there really is only one livery I could paint this in. Because it needs to match. How many seconds are there in eternity? I imagine 5 rows of roof. It's still hanging individually. Fun. Yeah. It's got to be able to fit in, you see. There really is only one livery I can paint this in. Gonna airbrush it. Unfortunately not. There will be no airbrushing until I've got the new recording studio set up, and then I can airbrush live. At the minute, it's not possible for me to airbrush on stream. This C-Class, which is it's the Great British Locomotives model, motorised with an Airfix 4F chassis, needs a full repaint into the proper livery as well, at some point. But I do have all the correct paints for it. And in fact, I have brush painted the Southeastern and Chatham green before, and it looks fine. It's just not somewhere I can get to right now. But that is another P-Class. Where's my snicks? They're under this box. Who put that box there? That would be me. So, this pipe will now get cut a little bit shorter. That's better. So we'll get that pipe soldered on. It's not quite what I was aiming for with the finger there. I believe the correct term is oh dearie me oh my. Once you get your base coat and you paint the model, how many coats? Once you get your base coat and then you paint the model, how many coats of clear coat would you say? It varies. I have some models that only have one coat of clear on them. I have some that have several. It really depends on what finish I'm after. I'm going to have to turn the iron up because we want to tin this pipe with real solder, as I'm calling it. And we want to remember to turn it down this week, because last week we did some soldering of brass and then forgot to turn the iron down, so we ended up soldering white metal at 400 degrees and melted it. And that is what most people call a bit silly. But when soldering to bits like this, we want to tin them with proper solder, and then the white metal solder will stick to this solder better than it would have stuck to the original part. Not dull, but not plastic shiny. I mean, you can probably get that from one coat, to be honest. What have I got behind me? Let's have a quick look. The i3 is at least currently, a single coat. It does need more, as it's not the finish I'm after on it. But this is a single coat. It looks a lot shinier on camera than it does in real life, unfortunately. That's more how it looks in real life. So it's sort of a satin finish on there. It's not dull, it's not as shiny as plastic. So it's not the finish I'm after on that model. So that is going to be getting more varnishes. But for now, that one's done and ignored. Left to its own devices. But that is a single coat of Halford's spray varnish. Clear coat. Now we need to turn the iron down again. Position you a bit better. I'm waiting for the iron to cool because I forgot to turn it down before running off. So whilst we wait, I will remind everyone hydration is important, and I will refill my hydration vessel. Probably not all the way because it is 20 past 11 now. We have 40 minutes left to run. But yes, hydration is important. The iron is nearly down to the temperature we want, which in this case is as low as I can physically get it. Because we are, soldering white metal, you really do not want heat. So we are using solder that melts at 70 degrees. Anything hotter than that will be fine. Those who were here at the start will have seen me melt solder with water out of kettle, so okay, that's got it into place. So if I get some solder on the back there, I can come back to the top and attempt removing some. And I should get a little bit more on the back there, as it really is just a tiny, tiny bit that is there. And there we go, that gives us a better connection at the bottom. So there is our pipe fitted to the clap valve. And so now we just need to do the same on the other side. Where did I drop that pipe? There it is. So we just take our bit of wire, put in a couple of bends in roughly the right place, and then we'll stick it to the bottom and see how well it goes. And once again, that is looking good on there first time. I'm impressed by myself with those. I'm going to turn the iron back up to where we want it for tinning this part. The reason I didn't do them both at the same time is because I would have just lost this one. Get my finger marked roughly where I want to cut that. I always try and make my first cut a little bit longer than where I've marked, because, you know, I can cut more off. It's much harder to add it back on. So that's still quite a bit to come off there. I am of course being mindful of where the wheels will be when I'm cutting this down, because it's coming through the splasher for the bogey. And there we go, that's much better. So, just like before, to get some flux on this. Get the solder in. And get it tinned. We then want to turn the iron all the way back down and let that cool whilst I watch myself soldering. That focus, there we go, that's better focus. You just need a tiny bit of solder when you're tinning things. And we want to get some solder chopped up ready for us to use. The iron is nearly down to temperature now. It's not quite there, but it's nearly there, so we'll get him ready for it. We picked up one of the split pins that the model expects us to use as handrail knobs. That will not be happening. It's not quite there yet. There we go. We will apply way too much solder to that. And then get some to hold it on down the bottom whilst and then we can return and remove some excess from up top with the solder sucker again. So we just need to heat it up and suck it away. And there we go. That is that pipe in place. And so we really are looking like a completed locomotive now. I'm just going to have to quickly take the solder sucker apart. There's a lot of solder in there and it's starting to jam. And there we go, that's just sent tiny bits of solder all over me. Just what I was after. But that's looking much cleaner in there now, so that should now work better. And there we have it. So we can start to put the model back together at this stage. And make sure that we're not interfering with the wheels. So we want to wrap that round, get that through. We of course do need to get that cut down to size for the tender connection as well. So there is the loco. So what we're going to do here is going to try and get these to both go over that wheel. And then we can get a bend in them. As you can see, I can still get that on and off like that. Oh, I've just broken a brake shoe off. Okay. Cut them down. And in fact, I think I'm going to put a bit of solder on them as well. But that now keeps the tender the correct distance from the loco. Close coupling indeed. All my layouts are built for close couplings, as you can see on this one. The tender and the loco actually do touch each other in the middle. Oh, we appear to have broken the brake when we've snapped it there. That's not good. That was very silly. Oh, that's too high. We don't want to turn it up that high. You need very gentle curves to do it. Indeed you do. Everything I do is planned with curves to allow for close couplings. Because, of course, for those that don't know, I do use scale couplings. So my locos have screw links or free links, etc., as does the rest of my stock. It is all done as close to accurate as possible. I know a lot of people find that scary. I know some people that really struggle with it. But for me, it works well. And of course, it looks right. So we'll just apply some flux to them. Good evening, Richard. How are you today? You join us at a point where we've actually nearly finished this loco on only its third week on the stream. Which I will admit, having not expected. There we go, so that is that just soldered together. Can we have some focus, please, camera? Do I need to bring this in again? There we go, so that is the tender connection soldered in place. Or soldered together, so that goes through. Yeah, see, now it won't fit. Because they were supposed to be squeezed together. I suppose I should have squeezed them whilst I was soldering. That's my own fault. Well, thank you. I bet you'll be looking forward to painting it. Oh, yes, I am definitely looking forward to painting it. There we go. No, I've still not got it quite squeezed enough. That was very silly of me. And entirely my fault. There we go. One loco and tender. I am very happy with how that's looking. And we still have 20 minutes to go. What livery will she be in? She will be in full Chatham Wainwright livery. Like all her brethren. Only the best for my locos. And let's face it, it's such an elegant loco. In the main 22 minutes, you could dance a jig. I could not dance a jig. I'd love to see you dance on stream. No, you think you'd love that because you haven't seen it. If you saw it, you would realise that you would not love that. I may, whilst we've got this apart, solder that tender connection to the chassis, because there is no need for that to be able to turn. But first, we're going to repair the brake. So we're going to turn the iron. In fact, no, we'll leave the iron up. And we will at least tin this now. Look forward to seeing it in that livery. It's going to be gorgeous. I think we would all love to see it in an ironic way. No, you wouldn't. Trust me. Trust me, you would not. So, yes, let's see if we can just drop some solder onto this and keep it separate where it needs to be separate. And now we'll turn the iron back down. Yep, that still goes through there just fine. So we'll just get a little bit of solder on there. Sort of wishing I hadn't thrown away my bit of solder that I was using now. There it is. I was about to pick up my tweezers to grab this, but I've lost them. Who's surprised by me losing tools? No one? Okay then, you've all been here long enough. If you are surprised by me losing tools, welcome to the channel. It is good to have you here. There is a like, subscribe and notification bell down in the description. It'd be very kind of you to go and press them all. All lost does not surprise me. Well, you're clearly not new here, James. So if I just get that through there, to hold that in place, we can apply a tiny bit of solder to that as well. We appear to have developed a new blob of solder. And lost it. That cut through a lot easier than I expected it to, and it just went. I think I'm pretty much out of little solder blobs to cut up. So I guess I'll have to use the big sticker solder, which is over here. Seems to allow everything to happen, losing tools. Indeed it is. It's especially common here at Oak Hill Works. Let's get a bit of flux on there. There we go. That looks good. There goes another brake shoe. Called brake shoes, not broken shoes. Yeah, and that sits through there just fine. The boss should be told to keep an eye on the tools. Indeed. Indeed. Someone should be keeping an eye on the tools. It's certainly not me. Ah, this is the one I snapped earlier. That's why it's come off. There we go. Just ordered some more filters for my bench vent and seem to have found some pre-motor fitting things to do. Indeed I did. I've repaired the brake gear. And look, James, just for you, there's the motor in place. There we go. Will you be making brake rigging for the loco? I intend to, but I need to look at more pictures first. But yes, I do intend to get brake rigging on there, because at the very least, it's going to strengthen up the brake gear. Will there be a stay alive in the tender? I can probably get one in the loco, actually. There is a lot of big hollow boiler space there, and it certainly doesn't need any extra weight being a white metal kit, so I can probably get all the electronics in the loco to save having to run wires to the tender, which will be nice. Something else we need to do is fit some crank pins. Get a very nice supercapacitor in the tender. I could, but the question is, since I have everything on my layout is Electrofrog, how big a stay alive do I need? It's amazing how small you can make them. There's much to be said for a good crank pin, indeed. I find it much easier to get these started by turning the wheel. Because of course they are self-tapping. These are the scale link crank pins to go with the scale link wheels. I will not be cutting the pins down until after painting. It's getting there. Very big, since this is a heavy loco. You need more energy than ready to run plastic model. That's true, but at the same time, I say there's nowhere on the layouts that is dead. It doesn't normally take this much effort to get a crank pin in. That one really does not want to go. Well, it's in now. How you cut the pins down? I usually use a decent pair of snips. Sometimes I saw them. It depends on just how tough they're being. There we go. And there goes another brake shoe. Oh no, it's the same one. Tin snips are good enough to cut these pins sometimes. So the pins seem to come in varying quality. Varying quality. I can get the word quality out, honest. And some of them can be cut nice and easy with a pair of snips. Some can't. These ones don't even seem to want to screw into the wheels very nicely. Oh, we've lost a bit off the boiler again. Let's put them both in a parts tub, because it is 5 to midnight. We are nearly at the end of the show, everyone. And we have made a full-length show this week, which is nice. And it has been great having you all here at Oak Hill Works. If you have enjoyed, please do remember to smash that like button if you haven't already. If you're not subscribed, if you're new to the channel, please remember to subscribe and ring the notification bell so that you get alerted whenever I upload a video or go live. If you want to continue to join in the community outside the stream, then there is my Discord server, which can be a link to which can be found by putting !Discord into the chat. You can find me on Twitter at Oak Hill Railway. Again, a link can be found by putting !Twitter into the chat. I also have a website for the stream, which is www.oakhillmodelrailway.co.uk, or !website into the chat for a link. I can also be found on Instagram, !Instagram into the chat. And I am Blue Lightning on RM Web. So there's a million ways to stay in touch with the Oak Hill community. So please do come and join us if you haven't already. Sorry. Those are the best commands, James. I approve. And a fun fact for you all, that the channel will be turning a year old soon. There are some provisional plans in place for what to do for the channel's first anniversary. I'm not sure my original ideas are going to be doable, unfortunately. But if anyone has an idea for the first anniversary and what we can do, then of course do let me know. I appear to have completely lost the leg for this one now. I think I'm going to have to make a new leg for that one out of brass. That is for another night. For tonight, I think we should get the locomotive back together and admire what we have done. So if I approve. Communicating using only commands is fun. Birthday cake. Necklace. Brilliant, James. Brilliant. Admiration of locomotives. So, admiration of locomotives is always good. So let's get the solder block out of the way. I'm going to turn the iron off as well. There we go. Hadn't quite got that all the way through there. And there she is. Thank you, Corbs. I'm glad you think so. I assume you've been lurking for a while. Splendid locomotive. Splendid fleet of the Southeastern and Chatham, if I do say so myself. Of which she, of course, will be the finest of the lot. I really cannot wait to have her finished. Thank you, Javier. It is absolutely beautiful. I am so happy with it, and we've managed to make midnight. I think an hour ago I thought we were going to run out. I'd like to take this moment to remind everyone, hydration is still important. Gary does need more commands. I'm always open to commands being submitted. I was lurking and looking, thought so. So yes, there we are. Thank you for coming, everyone. There will of course be a video going up on Tuesday, which will include a tutorial on press fix transfers for those that want to know how to use them. There will be a video on Thursday, and then we will of course be back here next Sunday, and I think we're going to have to start putting some paint on this locomotive, and that's going to mean having to have something else to do as well. Returning to pumpkin. Oh God. So yes, thank you for coming, everyone. You have all been awesome. Please do remember to like, share, subscribe, ring the notification bell, all those bits I've just given you. You are all awesome. It really is appreciated. Good night.